Episode 1, Room 733 doesn't exist. They told me the hospital had 732 rooms, but I found room 733 on my second night. I wasn't looking for it. I was on call, doing my residency in internal medicine. The night shift sleepless, sterile, fluorescent purgatory. Around 3:21 a.m. I went looking for a place to cry. I just lost my second patient that week. A 9-year-old girl with brutal lungs and a smile too big for what her body could carry. I needed to be somewhere she wouldn't haunt me. In the hallway gave it to me. North Wayne, past radiology. Just beyond the automatic doors that should have stayed locked. Room 733. The numbers were faint, almost scratched into the metal. The lights above it flickered violently, like the building didn't know whether it should show me the truth or not. I tried the handle. It was cold. I didn't go in. I couldn't. Something inside the room breathed. Not air, not life. History. The next morning, I asked the cleaning staff about it. Maria, the head custodian, went pale. There is no 733, she whispered. Don't look for it again. I pressed her. She said nothing else, but she never made eye contact with me again. The nurses were worse. One crossed herself. One transferred departments the next week. The youngest told me, it's not a patient room. It's a holding. A holding? For what? She didn't answer. I stopped asking, but the next night, I walked by again, and this time, the door was slightly open, just an inch, and I swear something inside whispered my name. I haven't told anyone. I checked the roster every shift. There's no record, no cleaning log, no maintenance, no assigned staff, but room 733 is always there, waiting, and every time I pass it now, it's a little more open. Episode 2, The Patient with No Chart. I didn't sleep after that second night. The door had moved, not just open moved. The hinges groaned like they hadn't turned in decades, but the way it shifted, it felt deliberate, like someone inside wanted to be seen or remembered. I told myself, I imagined it. I bury myself in charts, shifted doubles, skip meals. That kind of avoidance makes sense in a hospital. You tell yourself you're saving lives, when really, you're just hiding from the dead. But then, around 4 a.m., I found the file. No cover, no name, just a single page resting on top, stained at the corner like something wet had touched it. Not water, something thicker, wetter. At the top, room 733. Vital signs were listed. Heart rate, 42 BPM. Oxygen saturation, 63%. Blood pressure, non-applicable. Time of last update, current. The vitals were live. Impossible. We don't have patient monitors tied to non-existent rooms. I checked the hospital system. No such file was logged, but the paper was warm. I turned it over. More notes, scrawled in handwriting I didn't recognize. Jagged, cramped, like someone wrote it in the dark. While shaking, it doesn't sleep, don't make noise. Patient believes it's still 1973. Do not clean. Cleaning wakes him. Do not turn on the light. I took the file straight to the charge nurse. She read the first line, then quietly tore the page in half and tossed it into the biohazard bin. I didn't see anything, she said. Her hands trembled, and then she whispered, neither did you. I asked her was in that room. She walked away, but I noticed something as she left, a limp in her left leg. Later, I heard she lost her brother. Janitor, died on shift, heart failure. In the North Wing, they found him slumped against a door that wasn't on the blueprint. Room 733. I went back that night. I had to. The door was now open a full 6 inches, and on the floor in front of it neatly folded, blood-specked scrubs. Mine was a note tucked into the pocket, written in my own handwriting. You left the light on. Episode 3, The Janitor Who Tried to Clean It. Hospitals remember everything, not through stories, through footage. There's a back room in the security office. We're old, tapicized. Actual tapes are boxed and dated. Most are overwritten every 30 days, unless something unusual happens. I asked the night tech about room 733. He left until I said the number. Then he went quiet. There was a tape once, he muttered. A 98. I think one of the janitors thought it was a storage closet, thought he'd found a shortcut between wings. He didn't say anything else, but when I came back later, the box was sitting on the edge of my desk, labeled in thick red marker, 733, September 11, 1998. Do not view. Of course, I viewed it. The footage was grainy, timestamp flickering, a hallway I now know too well. And then I saw him, an older custodian, maybe mid-50s, wheeling a yellow mop bucket, humming a sonata tune. The song cut sharply as he passed the camera, like the lens recognized what it was about to witness. He paused at the far door, room 733. He stared at it a full minute before even reaching for the handle. Then he pulled out a key. It shouldn't have opened, but it did. I leaned closer. The door swung open. Only darkness inside. No lights, no windows. The shadows moved like they were caught in water. He stepped in. 2 feet. 3. Then the door closed. The hallway camera kept rolling. For 3 minutes, nothing happened. And, 10. Something crawled out. At first I thought it was him, crawling back, wounded. But it wasn't. It was faster, backwards, like it was being dragged by its own skin. It had the janitor's uniform, but no face, just a smooth layer of waxy flesh where the features should be. Its jaw was sewn shut, hands too long, knees bent the wrong way. It paused, looked directly at the camera, and waved. The footage cut there, no static, no glitch, just stopped. I ejected the tape. Inside the case was a second label, something scribbled beneath the original title, as if added later. Still mopping, I returned to the hallway. The door to room 733 was now fully open. Inside, darkness that tilted, a floor that looked deeper than it should be, and a wet trail leading from the doorway all the way to my station. Episode 4. The sound the mop makes isn't water. I followed the trail. I didn't mean to. It was past midnight, and I was making rounds when I saw it again with streak across the linoleum, slick and glistening under the flickering lights. But it wasn't water. It smelled wrong, like rust and antiseptic grief, like something spilled from a body that had forgotten how to die. The streak began at room 733, then split down the corridor like something dragging itself through the hell slowly, like it wanted to be found. I should have turned back. Instead, I followed. The trail wound through radiology, task records, down into an auxiliary hallway that no one uses anymore in it since the East Wing was condemned after the fire in '94. At the end of the hallway, the trail disappeared beneath a door I didn't recognize. No handle, no plaque, just a small, gray slit near the bottom like something inside needed to breathe. And then I heard it squeak, drag, squeak, drag, the sound of a mop sliding across the floor. No footsteps, just the sound. I leaned in, the slit pulsed. The air behind it was moist heavy, like it had lungs. Then something slipped under the door. A scrap of cloth, a piece of a janitor's uniform, soaked and torn, burned along the edges, as if something tried to destroy it but couldn't finish the job. Embroidered on the fabric was a name, Hernandez. I recognize it. That was the janitor from the 1998 footage. The one who disappeared. The one who waved at the camera with a face that wasn't his. I backed away. The mop sound grew louder. Squeak, drag, squeak, drag, and then something touched my ankle. Wet, cold, thin. I turned and ran. Didn't stop until I reached the stairwell, but when I looked back just for a second, trail was gone. Vanished. Except for one thing, a single, wet footprint left just outside the nurse's station. And it wasn't mine. This morning, the cleaning supply closet was open. Inside, a mop was resting in the corner, dripping, still moving, like it had just been used. And next to it, on a folded paper towel, written in brown, cracked ink, "Please don't clean room 733. He remembers what's taken. Episode 5. The night nurse who answered the call bell. There are few things more ordinary in a hospital than the soft chime of a call bell. But when it comes from a room that doesn't officially exist, it feels more like a summons. It happened just before 2 a.m. I was reviewing notes when the bell rang. Once short, sharp, like a cough caught in nettle. Room 733. The call board lit up. I stared at it. Not possible. The system shouldn't even register that number. But there it was. 733 call active. Status, awaiting response. Before I could move, Nurse Evelyn stood up. She was in her late 50s, one of those unshakable night warriors who'd seen everything: gunshot wounds, birthing nightmares, the slow fate of a dying child. She never blinked. She looked at me and said, "I'll answer it." I told her not to. Her smile never touched her eyes. "Some doors have to be knocked on first," she said. Then she walked toward the north wing. I followed her. I don't know why. Maybe I thought she'd stop. Maybe I hoped she would turn around. She didn't. The hallway was colder than the rest of the building, and the closer we got, the more everything slowed her steps. Our breath, even the fluorescent buzz overhead, like time itself was hesitating. Room 733's door was shut, but the call light above it blinked, settled. Ed. Evelyn knocked once, then entered. The door closed behind her and locked. I waited 5 minutes, 10, 15, nothing. Then the light above the door went out. A moment later, the door slowly creaked open on its own, and Evelyn stepped out, but she wasn't the same. Her uniform was soaked, not with blood, with salt water it dripped from her sleeves. Her hair, her mouth, her eyes were wide, unblinking, pupils stretched afar, and when she spoke, it wasn't her voice. It was someone else's, lower, gravel, ageless. "The patient thanks you for your patience," she said. Then she smiled and fainted. She's alive, but she doesn't speak anymore. She just stares at the call board event when it's off, even when it's not supposed to be working. Last night, I walked past her room. Her call light was on, but the board didn't show a room number. Only one word, return. Episode 6. The call bell keeps ringing, but no one presses it. They shut the system down, cut the power to the board, yank the wires from the console like roots from a corpse. And still, the bell rings. Always at 3:33 a.m., always from room 733. We tried blaming the wiring, residual energy, they said, but there's nothing residual about a sound that gets louder each night. Nothing accidental about a chime that begins to echo down halls that shouldn't have reverb. Last night, I was on rotation in the east wing 2 floors above 733. At exactly 3:33, the lights flickered once. Then the call bell rang, but not from a panel, from the wall. It rang behind the plaster, like someone had built a hospital inside the hospital. Older, deeper, waiting. I pressed my hand to the tile. It was vibrating, breathing, and when I leaned in, I heard it. Not the bell, not the hum. A voice, pick up, no speaker, no intercom, just a voice behind the wall, clear and close. I stepped back. A second later, my pager buzzed. One message. Room 733 staff responds delinquent. I didn't respond. I went back to my station, opened the cabinet, and pulled out the schematic of the hospital. There it was again, a listing for room 733, but something else caught my eye. The room numbers skipped between 730 and 734 on every floor plan, but only in one edition. The oldest one there was a faint pencil mark in that space. Not a number, a sigil, like a seal. I showed it to Maria, the oldest member of janitorial. She went quiet. Then she told me a story. Years ago, a man came into there after crashing his car into the chapel wall. No wood, covered in symbols carved into his own chest. Before he died, he kept repeating, "Don't answer the bell. He only needs one voice." They admitted him to room 733 back when it still had a name. They say his body rotted in a single night, and the next morning, the nurse who last checked on him was found inside a mop closet, trying to pull her own tongue out. That's when they sealed the room, but they never disconnected the bell. Tonight, the chime didn't stop. It ran and ran, louder, deeper, until the lights burst above room 733, and then the wall started to whisper back. Episode 7. The floor plan keeps changing overnight. Hospitals don't breathe, they shouldn't shift, but lately, this one does. It started subtly, a hallway slightly longer than it used to be, a door closer to the elevator than you remember. You tell yourself it's fatigue, night shift hallucinations, the fog of fluorescent light and death, but now even the walls are wrong. Last night, Nurse Patel went to deliver meds to 422. She walked for 90 seconds, turned the corner and found herself back at the main entrance. She hadn't turned around. The hallway had. She looked pale when she returned. "I passed 3 doors," she said, all marked 733. "There should only be one. There shouldn't be any." I pulled the new floor plans from the system, compared them to last week's, then the week before that. They don't match. Even the architects are confused. Must be a software glitch, they said. But a glitch doesn't add new rooms, doesn't redraw a corridor to lead nowhere, doesn't rename the morgue hallway patient return access. I decided to test it myself. After midnight, I traced the path from ICU to radiology, mapping each turn. It was quiet, too quiet, the kind of stillness that listens. Every time I passed room 733, I marked the wall with a black X. I cast it 4 times, from 4 different directions. The marks were all there. Same door, same number, different locations. It doesn't move. The hospital moves around it. When I tried to head back to the nurse's station, the halls looped. I walked in a straight line for 7 minutes and found myself outside the staff lounge from the inside. That's when I realized there are no clocks anymore. They've all stopped at 3:33 a.m. I ran, found a stairwell, took the steps 2 at a time, reached the 4th floor only to discover the stairwell now ended at room 733. And the door was open. No sound, no breath, just a faint glow from inside a surgical lamp, swinging gently like someone had just walked past it. I didn't go in, but I did look down. On the floor, carved in what looked like fingernails, was a message. You're not lost. You're arriving. I made it back to the station at 6 a.m. or what should have been. No one had seen me leave. And in my locker, there was a new floor plan. No sender, no date, only one room on it. 733, floating in the middle of an empty white page. Episode 8. There's a patient. In the photos we never took. Hospitals keep records of everything. X-rays, scans, patient files, security footage and photos, staff parties, grand openings, remodels, 100 years of sterile smiles flouncing in time, collecting dust in the admin wing's archive room. No one looks at them anymore. But last night, I did. I was trying to confirm something in an old blueprint I found hidden in a vent near room 733. It didn't have blue ink, just black, and on the back, scrawled in frantic handwriting, "He only shows up when you remember." So I remembered. I remembered the janitor, the saltwater nurse, the footsteps and halls that are mapped, the mop that moves, and I went to the archive. I found a photo dated March 1973, nurses standing outside the north wing. Behind them, room 729, 730, then a blank wall. No 733. I turned the page. Next photo same day, same pose, but this time, there's a man sitting in a wheelchair, right in front of where 733 should be, head lowered, hands folded in his lap. I turned the page again, same photo. Now he's closer, facing the camera, still faceless, his skin is blurred, like someone dragged an eraser across the negative. I flipped faster, photo after photo, different years, different people, but in all of themes there, always outside 733, always a little closer to the lens, until one photo dated last year's gone, but his wheelchair remains empty, facing the door. The last photo in the album wasn't labeled. It wasn't even printed on normal paper, just a Polaroid. Tucked in the back, it was of me, standing in the hallway, back turned to the camera, staring into room 733. I never posed for that picture. I don't know who took it, but written on the bottom, in cracked ink, "Welcome back, doctor." Today, I checked the hospital staff roster from 1973. One name was scratched out, literally blacked over with pen, but faint beneath it, I made out the last letters, Andes Hernandez, the janitor, and next to it, under status, a single word, admitted. Episode 9. The door is now open in every photograph. Photos don't change, not the old kind, not the ones printed with chemicals, not pixels. Once exposed, they're supposed to stay locked in the prisons of time. So tell me how the door to room 733 is now open in every single image I've ever seen of it. I went back to the archive after the Polaroid, after the picture of me staring into something I don't remember seeing. This time, I wasn't looking for faces. I was looking for the door, and I found it. In every image, it had once been shut, sealed, shadowed. Even when the light was perfect, the door frame looked flat, like it was pretending to exist. But now, every photo that used to show 733 sealed shut shows it open, wide, black inside, not empty, just unfinished. In one image from 1987, the birthday party for the head of surgery shows balloons, cake, smiling and turns in the corner. 733 open wide behind them. A hand is visible just past the threshold, thin, wet, pressing against the doorframe like it's holding itself back. In another photo from 2004, a children's charity event, clowns, volunteers, therapy dogs, room 733 is there too. This time, something is peeking out. A face? No, not quite. Something that resembles a face the way a memory resembles a dream. It's watching. Then I pulled the security photo from last week, taken automatically every night at 3:30 a.m. Room 733 is in full view, and this time, it's empty. The door is open, but nothing's inside. Just a chair, facing the hallway, and something new written across the glass panel of the door, backwards, like it was scrawled from inside. It can't stay closed if you keep looking. I dropped the photo. It was warm. Later, I checked the wall outside the records room. There's a photo there that's been hanging since the 90s. A photo I've passed 100 times. It used to show the hallway clean and silent, but now, Room 733 is open, and in the reflection of the polished floor, I see someone standing in the doorway, waving. Episode 10. The room sends me things now. It started with a box. No label, no handwriting, just plain brown cardboard, sealed with tape that looked older than the hospital itself. It was waiting on my locker when I came in for the night shift. No one saw who left it. Security cameras glitched, of course. Inside, a stethoscope, I scold, engraved faintly on the bell. Property of Nurse Evelyn. But Evelyn died last month, found in her apartment, clutching her own tongue. She had worked since the night she entered room 733. A photograph of me sleeping in the on-call room. Only the angle was wrong. It was taken from above, from the ceiling. My heart nearly stopped when I flipped it over. On the back, in blocky red ink, "You look peaceful when you forget." A tile, white, cracked, covered in dried something brown. Not quite blood. The texture was wrong. I turned it over. The underside was etched with what I thought was dust at first, but no. Teeth, tiny human teeth embedded in the ceramic. It matched the ceiling of room 733. I have never been inside, but I've seen it on the schematics old ones. The ceiling tiles in that room were custom, reinforced, lined with something unclassified. That night, I kept the box in my locker. By the end of the shift, it was gone. In its place, a single glove, my size, still warm. Inside the glove, something sharp, a folded note, pricking my finger as I opened it. "He's choosing you because you haven't said no." I threw it all out, burned the photograph, smashed the tile. But the next day, there was another box. This time, it was already open. Inside, my own hospital badge, melted, twisted, mangled as if crushed by teeth that weren't human. And beneath it, a photo I hadn't seen before. Room 733 open. I figure inside, wearing my scrubs, smiling, but not at the camera, at me. Episode 11. I can hear the room breathing through the vents. Hospital's hum. It's the low chorus of machinery, monitors, and recycled air, what we call the life under the silence. But lately, I've been hearing something else. Not a hum, not static, a breath. It began in the north wing. I'd walk past room 733, and the vents overhead would let out a sound that mechanical, not faulty, rhythmic, wet, deep, like lungs, not human lungs. No, something older, more deliberate. I started tracing it. I'd stand beneath different air ducts after hours, waiting. At 2:55 nothing. At 3:05, it started slow inhales, slower exhales. By 3:33, it was breathing with me, perfect sync. I'd inhale, it would follow. I'd hold my breath, so would it, until one night, I held my breath too long, and it didn't stop. It kept breathing, louder, faster, as if growing frantic. Then a sound like something crawling through the ductwork above me. Metal groaned. A vent cover dropped behind me with a crash. I turned. On the floor, a spiral of black mold, steaming faintly. In its center, a note, curled like a tongue. "You've been inside the room this whole time." I didn't sleep after that, but I did check the HVAC schematics. Room 733 isn't connected to the rest of the hospital's ventilation. It has its own system, self-contained, supposedly sealed, but that's a lie. I followed the crawl space map, down through the service tunnels, past the abandoned surgical ward, to a van marked decommissioned. It wasn't. I climbed in. The walls were lined in something soft, organic. I couldn't tell if it was insulation or tissue, and the deeper I crawled, the louder the breathing became. Not mechanical, not echo. Close, real, watching. Then I reached a grate. Beneath me, room 733. The door was shut from this side. The walls pulsed slightly. There was no light, no patient, just a chair, and something sitting in it, facing up, right at me. I scrambled out. My ears rang for hours, but the next night, the vents were silent, dead, until I got home and heard breathing coming from inside my closet. Episode 12. The room wants to move in with me. I no longer feel safe at home because room 733 has started visiting me. It began with the smell. Hospitals have a scent: bleach, sweat, metal, and something beneath it no one ever names. That scent was in my apartment 3 nights ago. Subtle, but wrong. It clung to my sheets, my hands, my throat. I scrubbed everything. The smell got worse. The next day, I found a clipboard on my kitchen table. I hadn't brought it home. It still had a chart attached. Patient unnamed. Room 733. Notes files inverted. Light intolerant. House proximity increasing. At the bottom, written in red marker. Distance means nothing to places that remember. I tore it in half, burned it in the sink. The ashes refused to stay down the drain. Then came the ceiling tile. I came home from a shift, looked up, and saw it. A perfect square in my ceiling. White, cracked, and stained at the corners. It hadn't been there before. I live on the bottom floor. I stood on a chair to touch it. It pulsed. Like something behind it was breathing. I pressed my ear to the wall that night, the one between my bedroom and the hallway. I heard a monitor, a steady beeping, patient vitals, and beneath it, whispering, the soft, wet, goes, home is where you don't leave. I opened my closet. The inside was wrong. It had hospital wallpaper pale green, peeling at the corners. My jackets were gone, replaced by scrubs familiar ones. Mine, and a second pair, larger, blood-specked, draped over a mop handle. The floor wasn't wood anymore. It was linoleum, white, sterile, cracked in the shape of a doorway. And then I noticed something pinned to the wall inside. A badge, mine, but instead of my name. It read, Resident, Room 733. My hands trembled, and from behind me, just past the edge of reflection in my bathroom mirror, I saw the hallway flicker, hospital hallway, for just a second, then gone, but not forgotten. I didn't sleep. I left my apartment, checked into a hotel, burned my sheets, my shoes, my keys, but when I woke the next morning, room 733 was scrawled across the inside of the hotel room door, and it was already ajar. Episode 13, The Room Cleans Itself Now finale. It's time. I stopped running. I've tried to burn it, block it, forget it. I left my home, my job. I even tried to get transferred. But room 733 isn't just a room anymore. It's a destination. And last night, the door opened for me. Not in the hospital, in my dream, in my mirror, in the hotel room I shouldn't have woken up in. There was no escape left, only entry. So I walked in. The walls folded around me like skin. Not metaphor, actual skin. Warm, pliable, veined. The floor pulsed in rhythm with something not alive, but not quite dead. And at the center of the room, a bed, sterile white sheets, metal frame, monitors humming beside it, and on that bed, me, pale, still, wired to 100 machines, eyes wide open, smiling, like hell, like I had been waiting. My breath caught. The figure on the bed blinked once, then slowly, its mouth opened, and it whispered, "You were never the doctor." Suddenly, the walls peeled back like a wound reopening, revealing memories I didn't remember. A crash, sirens, voices calling my name. We lost him for 3 minutes. Should we place him in 733? I was the first patient. The one room 733 was built around. Not a place of healing, a containment, a cocoon, a chrysalis. And now it's full. I reached for the figure on the bed my own hand, but the moment I touched it, the monitors flatlined. Everything went dark. Then light, bright, clinical hospital light. I was standing in the real room 733. Door open behind me. Empty bed in front of me, except now everything was clean, spotless. For the first time in decades, the floor glistened. The air was still. No mold, no blood, because the room had accepted me, because I cleaned it from the inside. Now, when someone walks past room 733, they see the door shut tight. They don't hear breathing. They don't see charts. But late at night, sometimes the call bell rings again, and someone answers, and the next morning, that person is just a little quieter, just a little emptier, because I'm still here, watching, welcoming, and cleaning what's left of those who forget to walk past quickly enough.